The thorax is the insect segment that bears the legs and wings on the second and third thoracic segments. Each thoracic segment has three main regions: dorsal equals notum, here the pronotum on the prothorax, lateral equals pleuron, and ventral equals sternum, here the prosternum. The prothorax carries the first pair of legs and a pronounced pronotum plate. A. Pronotum, dorsal view. Pronotum, the large, saddle-shaped dorsal plate, the notum, of the prothorax. In grasshoppers it often forms a conspicuous shield just behind the head and is very useful in species identification because its shape, ridges and grooves vary between species. Median carina, the midline ridge running lengthwise down the pronotum, a keel. It may be weak or very prominent depending on species. Transverse furrows, sulci, grooves that run across the pronotal disc and intersect the median carina. These furrows divide the disc into zones, commonly an anterior perizona and posterior metazona, and their number/position are diagnostic characters for identification. Proepisternum, label on the drawing. Although the pronotum is dorsal, the lateral lobes of the pronotum often overhang the pleuron, so parts of the pleural sclerites, like the proepisternum, an anterior pleural plate, can be seen from above beneath those lobes. The proepisternum is one of the two main pleural sclerites, see next section. Tergal notch, a small indentation or notch on the posterior margin of the tergum/notum. Such notches often allow flexibility or accommodate movement of adjacent parts. In practice it's a simple dorsal margin feature used in descriptive morphology. B. Perpleuron, lateral view. Pleuron/perpleuron, the lateral plate of the prothorax. In many insects the pleuron is subdivided by a pleural suture into an anterior episternum, here called proepisternum, and a posterior epimeron, proepimeron. These lateral sclerites provide attachment points for leg muscles and form the area around the leg base. Naudalia/lateral lobe, the drawing's naudalia label refers to parts of the notum, dorsal region, that extend into lobes, the large lateral lobes of the pronotum that cover/hide much of the pleuron. Those lateral lobes, and their shape and grooves, are important external characters. Leg, the first pair of legs attach at the prothoracic pleural/sternal region. The coxa, trochanter, and proximal leg segments articulate with cuticular points and internal apodemes for muscle leverage. The pleuron and sternum form the external skeleton that houses these joints. See prosternum, ventral view. This drawing shows the ventral plates and grooves of the prothorax, under the insect. Important labeled parts. Presternum, the anterior portion of the prosternum, nearest the head. Basesternum, the central/major portion of the prosternum, between the leg bases. These names just subdivide the ventral plate so entomologists can describe where features occur. Presternal sulcus/longitudinal pit, external grooves or pits often mark the position of internal structures, apodemes/apophyses. A sulcus is a groove, a pit commonly corresponds to the base of an internal apophysis. Prosternal process, a median projection of the prosternum that extends between or behind the forelegs. In many orthopterans this process is a rigid projection used for articulation and as a point for muscle attachment. It can also interlock with the mesosternum. Apophyseal pit, a small external pit that indicates the location of an internal apophysis, a finger-like internal cuticular ingrowth. Apophyses and apodemes are internal supports/anchor points for muscles. The pit is the external sign of that internal structure. Profurcal sulcus/furca, furcal, area. The furca is an internal, forked apodeme, cuticular ingrowth, that functions as an internal brace and muscle attachment. The external furcal sulcus is the groove marking the furca's position. These structures are crucial inside the thoracic box for supporting and transmitting muscle forces. Spinosternum, essentially a posterior portion or spine-bearing part of the prosternum. Some species have a spined posterior sternum. The exact shape and presence of spines is a taxonomic trait in many orthopterans.